My name is Dave Gastineau. I am a fine art photographer based in Atlanta, Georgia here. I do a lot of cameraless photography, so I can make unique one-of-a-kind pieces that clients can purchase and nobody else will ever have again. I can't reproduce them even if I tried. That, and I enjoy painting as well. This kind of gets me away from a little bit of the photography side. I develop film for the city of Atlanta. I'm the only developer in the city of Atlanta, so it keeps me quite busy as well. I seem to think my clients like what I do. As you can see, I have all this film over here and people coming to pick it up later. So primarily that's what I do on a daily basis. Personal definition of art. I'd say anything that inspires you or engages you and interests you. It doesn't have to be a painting or a photograph, or it could be anything. As long as your soul is behind it and it's intentional, then I think it's art. There was no pivotal moment for me. I've always been this way since a little kid. I've always been an artist, but I guess the photography side of things for me came about when I lived in Portland, Oregon. I got my first real camera, professional camera, because it was just so beautiful. Everything out there is just so pretty. So I just started taking pictures, and I decided at a very earlier age that I wanted to go to film school, but I ended up going into the direction of photography as opposed to movies, because I figured if I could make a single picture interest somebody enough to look at it long enough to want to hang it on their wall, therefore I could make a picture move. And instead I just kept making them still instead of making them move. That you can do anything you want when you put your mind to it. Personally, for the latter part of your question. If you want it bad enough and you have the drive to do it, you can do it. Creativity isn't like something that isn't in everybody. Everybody has it, it's just whether or not you want to tap into it. As far as how it affects the world, per se, people are different. People are strange in what they dig. And so everybody's got their own taste, and not everybody's for everybody. But you have collectors that dig your work, and you just rock with that. Mainly that we don't actually have jobs would be my first go-to, because I work harder now than I ever did when I had a 9 to 5. I work every single day. And I might not work full 8 hours, but sometimes I'm working for 20 hours at a time. It varies on the day and what you got going on, but your mind is always on project that you got going on. People look at artists as slackers and what have you, but we're hardest working people in the world, and we don't get paid enough for it. As far as resources, my peers have been a huge resource. I've worked in a bunch of rental houses for a while with photo equipment, and that helped a lot. And then I worked for one where we had a print lab, and so a lot of fine artists came in and had their work photographed and printed and all that. And that introduced me to a whole different network of people. Ultimately, your network is your net worth. The more people you know, the better your chances are. But in the same, I use different people for framing and stuff like that, and I'd like to learn a lot more about framing to be able to do that on my own, to save money as far as my production costs are concerned. And especially like building these boards, these things not cheap, and if you can build them by yourself, they're a lot cheaper. But I mean, to me, art is everything, and you can't go into a single person's home that doesn't have a piece of art hanging on the wall somewhere. Everybody likes art. Even the stiffest kind of people, they still like art in some form or another. Even if it's a movie that they like, that's still art to me. But evolved why we have different processes and chemicals, but what's funny about what I do is I use all of the old school processes. So as far as the digital age, and I'm sorry, but I can't get on board with AI art. It's just not cool with me, because you're taking other people's stuff and turning it into something that's not. But I prefer to use processes that were used by the generations well before I ever came up. And I love learning and growing in that process, because when I went to school, everything was film. We didn't have digital. We shot everything on film. That's how I came up, and that's how I learned, and that's how I still shoot. And that's why with my cameraless photography, I still use all these old analog processes, as I was telling you before with the cyanotypes. That's the original way they printed photographs, was making a contact print. Yes, it's evolved, but I think going back to the roots of things is more important. Self-care, I don't really do, unfortunately. I gotta put all my eggs in. I got 2 baskets. I got my family, my kids, and then I've got my art and my film business and all that I do. That's kind of it. I just work. And the self-care part every now and then can come.